Hey, hello everybody. We are live YouTube, Facebook, and soon to be replayed on Facebook. Okay, I wanted to talk a little spring football. I know that I'm a little late to the party. All the articles, all the talking heads, everybody has now given their opinion. All the comments and all the followers of all the Hawkeye pages and stuff have all given their opinion, but I just want to put a little bit of a different twist on it today, and so we're going to do that. First of all, let's get to a little men's basketball news. Since my last video, Connor has officially returned to the basketball team, and as predicted, Courtney Eldridge was promoted to a full time assistant coach. I think so. He'll be an on the floor during the game and everything, coach. And Connor and Keegan win the Chris Jeter Award together, co award winners this year. Um, I don't disagree with that. I think those guys earned it. All right, let's get on to first before we hit the spring. As you guys know, there was some news about the this week on the lawsuit. I didn't mention it last week. I could have, but I didn't want to bring any more attention to it than they already are getting. Um, but I just thought something struck me. And one of the things was Jonathan Parker naming Kirk Ferentz in the lawsuit being retaliated because he was seeing a therapist because he felt that there was a lot of racial bias or tension on the football team, and so he went what he thought was a private session, but somehow Kirk Ferentz got a wind of it. So he thinks that he got a punishment of 4 hours of community service in retaliation for that. Guys, there's a recording, and I think Jonathan did himself in on this one because he secretly recorded the conversation with Kirk Ferentz when he was given the 4 hours of community service. And in that course of that conversation, in that tape recording, Kirk says that he was being punished because when he did a drill wrong, Coach Brian yelled at him, and Mr. Parker took the ball, threw it at Coach Brian, and said, "Do the drill yourself." Um, I don't know about you guys, but at Division 1 level, I don't any level you don't do that to a coach. You don't do that to a coach. I don't know how I would have responded in the immediate aftermath. But this is a big time Division 1 program, so I guess that's how they decided to do community service. If that had happened in a youth thing, I probably would have had them run for a while, run laps or something like that. I don't know how I would have added that, but definitely I would have. There had to be some kind of a punishment or something for what he did. 4 hours of community service is not that bad. Not that bad, guys. Spend a couple hours at evening and get it done. Hurry, go to the hospital, volunteer your time, or do whatever they do for community service there. Okay, guys, visiting the children or whatever. All that probably would be community service. So he got off light. He got off light. I don't see that that's a retaliation for him going on going because he's going to see a therapist. But I do agree that the therapist should have kept it confidential. Therapist was not right in revealing to Coach Ferentz what was being said. That should have never happened at all. Should have never happened. If I go to a therapist or doctor or something, I want to know that they got my back. I want to know that they're going to keep my private life private. Okay. That being said, though, they have there is a great article by Chad Lysico, which I won't get into, about the nuances and the interview that he did with the lead attorney on that. on that. So if you can want to go to hawkcentral.com, I'll send you there. You can read the article. There's a lot of too much nuances in that article to just um, bring it up here because I really didn't want to give too much credence to it. But this Jonathan Parker thing um, st- stood out to me. And by the way, I believe Jonathan Parker finished his eligibility, or not his eligibility, but I believe he did. I believe when he transferred, he transferred as a grad, as a grad. During the early stages of the transfer portal when it was for grad people who had a fifth year coming. Um, I could be wrong on that, so somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But I do believe that he um, transferred out as a grad. I could be wrong. Okay, a little bit about the draft. Tyler Lindenbaum has apparently slipped out of the first round into the second round projections, all because he has short arms. I would think his tape would speak well for itself. I really believe that his tape should speak for themselves. His game tape, how he does in game tape. I mean, anybody who's watched that young man knows that he's come off that ball and he's pushed people down the field quite a ways. And so I don't know why he's getting a knock on that. The other knock might be that he didn't participate in the combine, or I don't believe he participated in the team. The team, I don't want to say combine, but the team trials or whatever they do when they came to Iowa. I believe he had some individual workouts, but so maybe that's where they're at. Maybe because of his injury, they're not sure now what they're getting. Okay, maybe that's all I can speak of, but okay, let's get right down into the spring practice now. 7 minutes in. All right. So I think a lot of people are making a big deal that the offense looked horrible, um, except for a couple of bright spots here and there. Overall, looked horrible. Maybe didn't live up to the hype that we had heard about during the all spring. We kept hearing about how Petrus was better and how the offense was looking better, and how Torrey Taylor was afraid he wasn't going to get enough punts in this year because they were getting the ball in the end zone too often. So we heard things like that, and then we come out and then we watch what happens. I didn't actually personally get to see it. I watched a couple of clips that I was able to find, but the clips were harder to find this year than usual. And so, but here's theory for Petrus' struggle. Okay, there was a lot of offensive line people out of the game who would have played. So he didn't have the old line in front of him during this practice that he would have had. He would have if it was a game day back in September when the season starts. Okay, that'll probably be totally different look a little bit, a little bit different. Um, so that would have it. Also, Iowa was missing a few of their defender players, so that kind of makes you think, okay, our best defense wasn't even out there because our best defense was on the sideline. You know, let's look at it this way, okay? We hit O line. We had Jijin out, Miskalinsky, Britt. You know, those guys were sometimes starters, not sometimes starters, but also two deepers. Who we're going to see a lot of playing time this year. I don't know much about Little or Dunker, but they were also all from the O line. So he didn't have those, but let's look at the defense. Okay, who guys were out? D line: Bowie, Herkett, Evans. I don't know Bowie or Herkett, but Evans we know is a regular player on the line. Linebackers that were out were Campbell, Benson, Jacobs, Sullivan, DBs: Harris, Robertson, Merriweather. Guys, that's pretty much our starters right there for next season. I don't know about Sullivan because I didn't know anything about him, but the rest of those guys are all our starters, and it's kind of sad to see that Petrus couldn't get the ball downfield with all those guys missing. Honestly, I mean, Does that say a lot about our defense for next year? That our defense is just going to be on fire because all of our starters are pretty much benched. Most of our starters are benched, and not benched, but all out with some kind of an injury, and we still couldn't move the ball. Or does that just mean? So does that mean the defense is going to be that good again next year? I think it's going to be really, really good. By the way, guys, it's really going to be good, and it couldn't help but think of all the young people getting extra work this spring because of all the starters not practicing. So that's that in itself is just going to make the defense even stronger. With all the young people getting work because they got extra work that they normally wouldn't get. Okay. Um. So that being said, why did Peter struggle? Okay. Yes, he didn't have quite the old line in front of him that he would normally have. One of his blockers, Lachey, was out. Uh, he had two of his better receivers, Keegan Johnson and Ritter, were out. Okay, but honestly, that I don't think that's an excuse. That's not an excuse. I don't know why Petrus had an off day. I really do not know. I believe he will be the starter come day one. I hope that he shows something that this was a fluke because I don't understand it. I my first thought was as well, he's going up against one of the top defenses in the nation. A lot of teams struggle to move the ball on our defense. Okay, but then when I read the articles and figured out all these guys were out, that's the heart and soul of our defense. They're saying that Petrus was going up against the number one defense. I don't see that myself. I would say more like number two, maybe some number threes patched in there. I mean, yes, there's some starters that are going to normally be there that were there, but when you look at it, you know, uh, the entire backfield, linebackers and DBs are not there. Most of the line was there though, and maybe the line was getting a decent push off of the rookie O liners because there was several or a few potential starters or two deepers on the O line. I don't know what to make of it. I know that Padilla come out and had a good day. I think he went 5 for 7 for 66 yards and I believe a score. But nobody's really talking about what Padilla did. Everybody wants to talk about Joey Labus, what he did. Okay, he starts out 5 for 5. I forgot how many yards on that. Um, but okay, now here's some things that come to light. Everybody's excited about it. Okay, he rolls out much like Drew Tate used to do. Drew Tate used to roll out a lot, except for his last year where he became more of a pocket passer. But but yeah, but they said Labus rolled out. Okay, there were some times that I think there was a couple times where technically Labus was sacked, but they allowed the play to go on anyway to see what would happen because in practice you're sacked by touch. You're just touch. It's just touch football. You touch them, they're sacked. So there's no saying that Labus wouldn't have got those plays off, because they didn't get, he didn't technically get on the ground anyway. But two of the plays resulted, and I believe the touchdown play too resulted in what they would normally call a sack. Okay, but they're committed to getting Labus up to speed as quickly as they can. This from an interview with Brian Ferentz earlier this spring, is that because he spent all last year on the scout team, they're trying to get him and supposedly they simplified the offense to just a couple of reads to help get him up to speed in a hurry. So I don't know if this means that they want to see more of him this fall, that they've seen enough of him, that they want to get him into the number 2 role, because I don't believe he's going to jump to number 1. And I think Kurt Ferentz has more or less said that he's not going to take a number 3 quarterback who played scout team last year and jump him all the way to number 1. He doesn't have that kind of faith, and he admitted it. he doesn't have that kind of trust or faith in that in doing so. So as it stands, Padilla or Petrus will be our starting quarterback. I believe the other one transfers after the season and so Labus will probably go into the season as number 3 or 2.1 or 2.2, something like that. Um, so let's see what happens with the quarterback. I just don't believe I oh, Petrus is a nice guy. I love his interviews and I love his I don't give a crap attitude. Um, I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to manage this game. I'm going to win this game, and so I like that attitude of his. I really do, and I hope he does everything he can to win the game, win the spot. I mean, it's supposed to be his spot. He has been our starter for 2 years, except for the times that he was injured. Um, so that being said, I just think that I really hope success for Petrus. I mean, I'm not gonna jump on the bandwagon, the latest bandwagon just yet, and say he's the next coming of our quarterback. Um, but I guess if you were to name a starter based on the performance Saturday, I'd probably have to go with Padilla. He didn't get as much work as Labus did, but like I said, they're committed to giving Labus a lot of work, and getting him up to speed because they want to be able to, if they're in that situation where, if you remember was it going into the bowl game or the Big Ten championship game? Both um, Padilla and Spencer were sick with the flu bug. And Deuce Hogan was getting most of the reps that week. Okay. I believe it was. I believe it. Now that I look back, it was the Big Ten title game because Deuce Hogan left before the bowl game. So, and that's where Kirk Ferentz, said even though that Deuce Hogan was practiced with the number 1 team, that there was no way he was gonna go into, or maybe it was Nebraska game, or probably was the Nebraska game. Now that I think about it, that there was no way he was gonna go into it with he would stay in Iowa City if Deuce Hogan had to start the game. And which is kind of sad because he should have never said that about his player. I believe Deuce Hogan would be still on campus if Ferentz hadn't said that, even though Ferentz apologized and everything. But I believe his helicopter mom got him out of Iowa because she was probably more hurt than Deuce was. I believe Deuce was hurt by that, but he also talked to Kirk about it, and they handled it man to man, and Kirk apologized to him personally and publicly, and but yet he still left because I believe his mother was more bent out of shape than anything else, and I'm going to guess that his mother's probably not somebody I'd want to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Okay, enough about the quarterback situation and the offense. I tried to find out as much as I could about the Williams running back situation because I didn't hear anything about them and how they did. I heard that Williams got more work than the other Williams did, but our potential 1-2 backs was Gavin. Gavin's supposed to be the 1 back and LaShawn the 2, but it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as they both get in and do the job each game, we'll be fine. And they've got a couple of people coming in this fall, in the fall. By the way, they said 2 running backs were out with injuries for the thing, Hilson and Tim. I don't know anything about those guys. I'm going to have to do some homework on those guys and see who they are. I think the bright spot, I believe, for the practice in the spring turned out to be Cooper Jijin. He's working out nicely as a gunner and a cash. And so I think that really helps him getting out there. I think a lot of the injuries helps him. I mean, I think he was expected to be a starter or a 2-deeper, as I call it, because if you're 2 deep, you play a lot of minutes. You get rotated in and out of the game. So I believe the injuries has helped him to do a lot of this work. get a lot of work in. They're singing high praises about this guy, guys. This might be a guy who, after his junior year, leaves for the NFL if he's that good. That would be great. Okay. Um, oh yeah, and one of the news. You guys all know about Jamari Harris's OWI. He did get a 1 game suspension for the first game of the season. So that's not a surprise. I think everybody was kind of expecting that. That's kind of normal with Kirk Ferentz. That kind of do those kind of things. Um, so I don't know anything about this place kicker Amaya, but we did talk about him early on in one of my videos. But he was out with an injury, and it sounds like our place kickers and our punters weren't doing that great. Although it sounded like Torrey Taylor had a couple of decent punts, but overall the place kickers did very poorly, from what I hear. So guys, we're gonna, Iowa's been so spoiled with decent place kickers, and it always seems we always had another one in the wings waiting. Um, take their place. I believe they missed all of them from beyond the 40 except for one. Which, if you guys remember, our most recent place kickers, Caleb last year and the others, Keith Duncan, rarely miss in the 40s. Rarely miss. So that's part of our offense. You know, um, if Caleb doesn't hit some 40-yard field goals last year and 30-yard field goals, Iowa doesn't win some of those games that they did win last year. That's a key part. When our offense stalls, we need a guy to be able to come out and hit a 48-yard, 49-yard, maybe occasionally a 50-yarder. So if these guys aren't able to do that, that's going to be crazy. This Drew Stevens is supposed to be the place kicker of the future. Whether he wins the battle going this fall or not, we will see. Or if they do it like they have a couple times, if you guys remember, in past, they do one under 40 and one over 40. They'd have a couple of guys that could do it, but one would be more accurate under 40 and one would be more accurate over 40. I have to go back and see what seasons those were, but there were some seasons where that was actually the case. Um, so having said that, I don't think we learned a lot this spring practice. In all honesty, I just think that I'm not going to call it a waste, the spring practice, because all the younger people got a lot of work in this spring, a lot of work which can only help come the fall and in the future. In the future, when the ones and the twos move on, the 3 and 4s, got a lot of work, got a lot of experience, and so they're going to be able to come in and do their thing, and we can get to the point, hopefully, and like in Ohio State, where we just replace our people. We're not rebuilding, because we want to get Iowa to the point where we just automatically replace them with new studs every year. We don't want to have to rebuild, like go 10-2 a couple of years in a row, and then because we got our juniors and seniors, and then they leave, and the next guys come in, and while they're getting ready, we spend the next couple of years at 6-6 or 5-6 or 5-7 or something. And then when they're juniors and seniors, they go back and we get them. Then we get going back to that 10-2. We don't want to be that. That's kind of like where Northwestern is right now. Northwestern seems to be up 1 year, down the next, up 1 year, down the next. So honestly, if they get a quarterback, they'll probably be up this year. They'll be more of a contender than they were last year. But that'll be for my preview picks come in August. We'll go over every team in August. We'll go over every team in the Big Ten West and see who we should be really afraid of, because we'll have more information on all teams by then. Okay, I'm going to move on for football because, like I said, we didn't learn a lot. We didn't learn a lot, but the younger people got a lot of work, so that's the good thing that comes out of spring. Okay. And so that's that. I just want to finish up with little baseball news. So this Friday through Sunday, our baseball team is going to take on Nebraska. Right now, they're currently 24-13 and 8-4 in conference. I don't think that's going to help them get to the World Series regional playoffs. They're going to have to do better than that. But they got plenty of time ahead of them. Okay, they are playing much better ball than they were earlier. So they got Nebraska this Friday through Sunday and Illinois State on May 3rd. Softball team is not having quite the year that we're kind of accustomed to seeing them. They're 19-26 overall, 2-15 in the conference, and they just lost to Iowa State 5-4 yesterday. And with that gives ISU the Cyclops Series trophy. As you guys know, that every year Iowa and ISU, every time they play each other, they score points against each other for who gets to keep the trophy for the series win every year. And I think for the last few years, Iowa has won it, but Iowa State has taken it this year because about the only thing they didn't get from us this year was wrestling and football. But they took just about every other sport from us this year: soccer, you name it. You name it. Soccer, both men and women's basketball, and both of them got blown out. So, yeah, so they took the key sports too, but we got wrestling, we got football, but that might be the only two we got this year. All right, so that's all I got for right now. The softball team Friday through Sunday will play Northwestern next, and they will play at UNI on May 4th. So if I was still in Iowa in the area, I'd be at that game. I used to like to go into those games when the Hawkeye men and women come to the local areas and watch. So I'm gonna get out of here. The short video today. I gave you my take on the spring ball. My take on it versus everybody else's. My take was a little bit different. So I'm gonna get out. So have a great day. Have a great Wednesday. Please share this video with your friends. Please subscribe subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go like our Facebook page and join our Facebook page called Iowa Hawkeye Sports. We're almost at 3,000. We could very easily go over 3,000 today or tomorrow. At the rate we've been adding people, I would predict that in the next day or two we'll be over 3,000 people. That's one of our that's one of the better Hawkeye pages for followers. So keep that in mind. We have fun with it. We try to keep the negativity out, which when we do it, we keep the spam out. We try to stay on top of that. So if you if you go to our page and like and want to be a member of it, fantastic. If you feel like there's any negativity or spam, or scammers, please let one of our admin know. There should be four of us: myself, Jason Hackwell, Terry Christensen, and Paul Monaghan. Paul, how do you say your last name? Those are all admin who do a great work of trying to keep the page fun and lively and contributing to fun articles and sharing articles so follow that and share that with all your friends, especially your Husker and your Cyclone friends. They would love that Hawkeye page, I'm sure. Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's get out and I got work to do, guys. I got a new job and I got a new part-time job. I'm still retired, but I got a new part-time job which I have a lot of online coursework to do to get up to speed. I'm almost done today. I should finish up sometime today, and so I need to do that. Yeah. So you guys have a fun day. I'm sorry that bad eye is not really an eye, but I don't like the way it looks. But it is what it is. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day.